All right.
Welcome
back to Wait for it.
Wait for it. All right. Our special guest this podcast is Dean of Weightlifting and Students, Joel Quintong.
Woo! Welcome
Ladies,
in.
thank you. Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Thank you for
We're
coming.
very excited to have you in today. This is our first staff member guest.
Yes, that's true.
We're very excited.
Not a student.
Not a student, not a fellow weightlifting member, but also a fellow weightlifting member.
Yes. So, Joel, how long have you been weightlifting?
All right, so
Starting from the beginning.
that's fine. From the beginning, let me tell you that I competed in my first meet in 1998.
Okay.
I was 18 years old, but I have
Wow.
been lifting weights since I was 14.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you do sports before that? Were you like weightlifting in other sports, or you were just in the gym by yourself?
Yeah, good. That's a good question. So when I was in high school, I participated in track and field.
Okay.
So I did the throwing events.
Yeah.
I did the discus and the shot put, and part of the training for that is doing weightlifting
Lifting.
and weight training.
Yeah.
So
That's
the coach that I had was very much on top of it. Is like practice was about 2 hours. The first hour was throwing, the second hour was lifting. So
Yeah.
I did that all through high school. I just did strength and conditioning and training for the purpose of the throwing events.
Yeah.
And then when I got to college, I threw in college also, but then I picked up weightlifting, and I really enjoy this. I actually found out I was probably better at that. Well, I was better at that than the actual throwing.
What a trend we've been discovering is that people are starting from other sports. Like, because people start with the weightlifting and other sports and then just realize, hey, I just like the weightlifting.
That's a very common phenomenon in
Yeah.
weightlifting, especially in America, right?
Yeah.
So as you guys may or may not know, I coached the team at Sacred Heart for about 9 years. I started that up from scratch.
Wow.
And I knew that I needed to get, I call them reclamation athletes.
Mm-hmm.
So these are students who were athletes from other sports that decided for one reason or another not to continue in those sports.
Right.
So I had a volleyball player, and she was pretty good. She was on scholarship. I got her towards the end of her career. I had a couple of wrestlers. I had a pole vaulter who ended up being very good.
That's cool.
A couple
Yeah.
football players I've had, some
Yeah.
throwers. I've had a mixed bag of athletes.
Yeah.
One of my best ever was a gymnast.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
really cool
Yep.
because they
Yeah.
have a lot of agility, muscle,
And body
to do
strength
any
or
of
But-
that.
And just the awareness is really,
Yeah.
that's key.
Yeah, you're speaking. I quit track and took a couple years off. Then I discovered weightlifting, and I love it. I love it more than I did track. I mean, I love the sport of track, but I love the experience that I'm having weightlifting here better than doing track. I know Carla was on rowing too, and then she
felt the same way,
felt
especially
the
with the
same way.
people and just like the team. It's a smaller team, so
Yeah.
you feel like it's more like personalized to you. I feel like
yeah,
too.
absolutely.
If the programming is done correctly,
Yeah.
every program is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which this being a club sport too, I feel like we've got a pretty good program going on.
Yes.
We've got trips to like the Arnold and
Arnold.
everything. We
Yeah.
everybody goes to competitions. We've got a few pretty talented lifters already, just as a club sport that's been existing for not even 5 years
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The first coach, by the way, was a female.
Here?
Here?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no
wow.
way! I didn't know that.
Yep, it was one of my old athletes at Sacred Heart who lives in this area
When
in
was
the
that?
Bronx. This was 2021.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I
I
just
guess
got here.
your
that was our
freshman year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she did a good job, but then life just got in the way, and
Yeah.
she couldn't coach. And
Totally.
we both knew Coach Greco, Coach Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just she recommended him, and I was like, that's perfect.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
you had a big hand in getting the weightlifting team started here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So rewind to 2020,
Mm-hmm.
right? So September 2020. This is when you guys were seniors in
Seniors.
high school,
Okay.
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So I started working here at Iona. Got the job as a dean of students.
Oh wow! So it wasn't that long before we came.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I
Yep.
thought you've
Oh,
been
wow.
here way
No.
longer prior.
I got here September of 2020.
Okay.
And in May of 21, at the end of my first year here, we developed the club sports program. So the only club sport that existed at Iona was rugby.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess there was maybe this martial arts club or something like that, but they were kind of on the way down. And then there was a powerlifting club, believe it
Okay.
or not,
Okay.
that a professor, he did some work with some powerlifters. So we hired Coach Grimaldi, as you guys
Okay.
know,
Yes,
right?
Matt.
Matt's awesome.
Love Matt.
Matt was actually a Division III athletic director
Okay.
at a school in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
And-
where's she
Shout
from?
out, I'm from
Oh,
Pennsylvania.
no kidding, huh?
Yeah.
Where in Pennsylvania?
I'm from near Allentown area.
Yeah. Yep. That's
Right near
that's
there.
where Coach Grimaldi is from.
What, do you know what school it was?
It was Keystone College.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who's there, but I know where that is.
Yeah, yeah.
I've heard of it.
He's up in Clark Summit,
Okay.
so he takes that drive every day. He's
Yeah.
kind of crazy, right? But
He takes that
yeah, he
drive?
takes that
Oh
drive.
my
Yeah, I
gosh.
forgot to tell you he lived.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
So when we were hiring him, I gave him
Yeah, it's iconic.
the goal, the idea, right, the vision that we had for club sports. So we started with rugby, and we said, you know, we want to be able to create opportunities for students to participate, have fun, get engaged with the institution, with each other, all that other stuff. So I had taken my background in club sports and weightlifting in particular from Sacred Heart. Kevin O'Sullivan, who you guys probably know, the vice president.
Yep.
We had that same vision for how could we create this and make something for the students. So
Yeah.
when we were interviewing Matt, he totally got it.
Yeah.
And we were just discussing, you know, everything under the sun, as Matt usually does.
Yes, love it.
And he asked what my sporting background was, and I explained what I had done. And he goes, well, we have to do weightlifting then. I said, that's the perfect answer that I would
You're
like
hired.
to hear.
Yeah.
You're hired.
Absolutely.
spot.
Yeah. It's all I needed to hear.
Yep.
Wow.
So
That's amazing.
the way that I view my role here with the club is I call myself the general manager.
Yeah.
So I've done the coaching before. I don't have the time
Yeah.
to be able to coach every athlete in the way that I think that it should be coached, but
Right.
Coach Greco does.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
And that's another thing I actually wanted to get into is like, how do you balance now your work life, that you have a family, and like your personal life with the sport, because you do still compete, so that's also a lot on your mental and physical.
Yeah.
So how do you have all of that at once?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I was younger, before I had kids, before I was married, I could just dictate my training schedule around work, right?
Yeah.
So work is over, 5:30 I'm in the gym, 7:30 I'm coming home, I'll eat, reload, do it the next day. I train 3-4 times a week, right?
Yeah.
Get married, that changes a little bit.
Yeah.
Once you have kids, it's completely
Yeah.
different.
Around
180. Yeah.
Yep. And then, which is fun because I'll get to that in a second.
Yes, I've been seeing your daughter weightlift.
Oh.
She's up and
Don't
coming.
spoil it just
Sorry.
What I do is I train myself at about 5 o'clock in the morning. So
Okay, so
I'm up at 4:30
All
and
of
I
you sleeping still.
But everyone's still asleep.
Yeah.
But there's a core group of folks, and I train at a CrossFit gym where I've had a good relationship with the folks there. And we
Yeah,
went
we've
there.
competed
so,
there.
Yep. So that's been very helpful. And then there's a community center just a couple of miles from my house. And I know the director of the fitness center over there. I was just there this morning.
Oh, nice.
And that's how I squeeze it in. And then I help where I can with the competitions, and just as I say with Danny, I'm coaching the coach.
Yes.
So Danny's been at it for a little while, but like any opportunity that I have to be able to help him with the stuff that I've learned over the years,
Yeah.
so he can transmit that to you guys, then
Yeah.
that's what we do. So I'm very intentional about, I'll work with the athletes, but I'm working more with Danny
Right.
to work with the athletes. So
Yeah.
that's what I view as kind of my role right now. And then I help out with the administration and all the other stuff towards
Yes.
weightlifting, which
Right.
can get a little crazy, but I've known all the players for a
Yes,
long time.
You were one
Yeah.
of the starting members of all of that.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, you kind of were.
Yeah, around
Well,
here.
you
Well,
used
yeah.
to run competitions, you said, right, with your
Yeah.
with your friends, and
Yep.
that also turned into like now bigger competitions and
Right.
people, making it bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it has grown a lot throughout the years. Like, what have you seen? Like, what kind of growth have you seen in the club throughout the years? Like, what
In
has
our
been-
club,
Yeah.
I
What
mean,
has been your favorite part?
what was a huge help was when we got this donation
Mm-hmm.
so when we got Bronxville,
Yes.
Yes.
right? So we got Bronxville in 22, I guess that was around then.
Yeah.
And it was around that time that we had a donor who was looking to create a great rugby experience. So he put down a lot of money
Okay.
to support the rugby program, and some of it was earmarked for building a strength and conditioning room, and it just
Gotcha.
worked out perfectly
Yeah.
in Bronxville that they had their old weight room, which was not in great shape,
Mm-hmm.
but the gift that he gave to help rugby directly benefited us
Right.
as well. So I was able to work with the folks here on campus to pick a vendor, to do the layout, work the facilities, all this other stuff. So we picked we have a connection with the local vendor, who's actually their company's actually based in Sweden.
Oh,
It's
wow.
the top barbell company out there called Alico.
Shout out.
Yeah, he's great. David Weber's been wonderful, and the equipment that we got, he was able to deliver that. It's top notch equipment.
Yeah.
So that was a big step in the right direction. I will tell you that there was a little bit lost in that when we were training in Hines West.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
I
had
could
the
imagine.
exposure all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
but
Everyone's always in and out of there.
Yeah.
exactly right. So we missed that because you don't get as many eyes on it.
Right.
But at the same time, it got to be very difficult to train in there.
Yeah, I think it's better for the athletes themselves to be training. I think it's really nice to have our own space.
Yeah, and that's what I said too. Like, I feel like we do better in a more like environment where you can be focused more and like you're focused on yourself and the others
Right.
around you. But that would be so distracting. Like for me personally, like having people walk in and out while you're training. And I know
Yeah.
that's something you have to get used to competing, so that probably is good. But also like when you're starting out, I think it's better to have that environment where
Yeah.
it's not like so hectic.
Right.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay, go for
So,
it.
what is the biggest obstacle like you've had to overcome in the sport, like over all of your years weightlifting, like competition, personally? Anything?
Biggest obstacle. That's a good question. You may not believe me, but I was not the greatest athlete when I was growing up and in high school.
Okay.
So imposter syndrome really didn't exist in that
Yeah.
mindset back in the 1990s.
Right.
But I wasn't a great athlete, and I always just felt like I needed to do a little bit more or to just like prove myself, right? Physically, that was
Right.
especially
Yeah.
right. And I wasn't a particularly big kid, so I think some of that challenge that I had was really just kind of going, just keeping at it,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
knowing that I could just keep working at it, and then improvement would come. So that going back, quite some time, but yeah, that would be my the biggest obstacle.
And
that
doing
I,
it for like yourself more than like other people, like.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've never. My parents were super supportive, right?
good.
They
Amazing.
never played sports. We weren't like a sport family. My
Right.
brother was into sports, but
Right.
really like watching sports.
Right.
Yeah.
Shout out to James. He works for ESPN, and he's been at
Happy
it for
happy late birthday, James.
Yes.
Happy belated.
Yes.
Happy belated.
50
Woo.
years old. So when I was
Yes.
growing up, I was a much better athlete than my brother, which wasn't saying a whole lot.
Right.
But my folks were like very supportive. They took that. I wanted to play hockey, so my dad was like, "Okay, we'll go to these random hockey rinks at
Do you still play?
5:00 in the morning." No, not really. I'll still skate. you know.
Yeah.
I do skate. Yeah, that's what I did. Played basketball. I wasn't good. I didn't like. I wasn't good at them. I didn't like them. But
Right.
when I found track, I really enjoyed that. When I found
Yeah.
weightlifting, I really enjoyed that. My mom, you'll love this, right? My mom, the first meet that she went to was the Junior National Championships that I competed in 1999
Oh, that's a big
in
one.
Savannah, Georgia. Yeah,
Yeah,
because we
wow.
all flew down, right? So I
Right.
went.
That's cool.
I was in Boston at the time, so I drove. It was during spring break, interesting enough. So I drove down to Jersey, and then we all took a flight down to Savannah.
Yeah.
And it's a national meet, right? And they were going to have the Junior World Championships a couple of months later. Big thing on a college campus. It was really something else. So another 2 or 3 weeks later, there's another competition in, I want to say, Enfield, Connecticut, which is not the greatest area in the world, and it's in one of these little dinky community
Yeah.
centers. So I said, "Yeah, Mom, just meet me up there. I'll come down from Boston. You come from Jersey, and we'll get together and we can hang out and you watch the meet and we'll go out for dinner, or whatever." So she gets there and she goes, "Joel, I thought all the meets were going to be like the one in Savannah."
She was like, I'm really disappointed.
I'm like, yeah.
I was like, what is
Yeah,
this?
and she was like, "Oh, like the benches were hard, and
No
there wasn't
cushionings.
any. There were no
Wait till
signs."
she goes to the
and
garage
stuff.
meets.
Oh
When
yeah,
they-
yeah,
the
no, those
garage
are fun.
Yeah.
No, but she got it, and she was always super supportive. And when I was at the end of that year, I qualified for the collegiate, the university national championships. I mean, this is like 25,
Yeah.
26 years ago, in Wichita Falls, Texas.
That's
I was
Whoa.
19. I couldn't rent a car, so my mom
Yeah.
rented the car. We flew to Dallas.
God, yeah.
We
Oh
drove
my.
2 hours in the middle of like
a lot of bonding time.
Yeah.
tons of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Oh,
We had-
that's cute.
A little road
Good
trip.
memories.
Weightlifting
Exactly.
brings you road trips, brings you journeys.
Yes.
Like that's something that a lot of like lifters like it is like you guys go from lifting like at the Arnold at these like big major competitions that are so nice, like the top tier equipment, to lifting in the garage meets. Like I think
And I think it also is, like, it's really cool to see the different sides of it.
Yeah.
Like, the first one that Jared competed in was, I think, in Brooklyn, right?
Yep.
And that one was, like, that was my first competition ever going
Yeah.
to, too. And it was raining, and I remember, like, it was, we took the train, and it was terrible. And then we got there, and we were like, what, where are we supposed to sit? Where are we supposed to stand? But it was also, like, cool seeing, like, they were new, but, like, and Carla didn't know anybody, and she was, like, talking to different people, and, like, there was, like, different sponsors, and, like, everybody was just so friendly, and I thought that was, like, really cool. It just made you feel, like, more comfortable, even being in, like, an environment where you're, like, you don't know where you are and stuff like that. They made us feel, like, comfortable, and, like, it wasn't, like a scary meet for them. I feel like for their first meet, that was a pretty good, like, choice.
Yeah, that's a good one. That Brooklyn, that place in Brooklyn, I think it is a CrossFit gym.
Yes,
so
I think so.
They had the setup was for CrossFit, but they make them.
It was cool though. I liked it, and they had
really cool.
a bathroom in the basement, and the bathroom was like so cool, and they had all like the supplies and stuff. I thought that was nice.
Oh, that's so silly. It's so nice, like in an environment where I feel like everybody knows that everybody else is kind of in it for themselves,
and they're all supporting each other, and they want you to do good.
Everybody just wants you. Like I feel like at least like everybody wants you to do good for yourself. Like everybody like is competitive too, obviously when it gets to more the intense meets and everything. But I feel like the meets that I've been to, the ones that are like there haven't been that as many people. It's very much. Everybody just wants you to hit your heaviest weight. Everybody just wants you to like do it the best you can. And yeah, it's a very supportive, open environment.
And for you, like when you competed this year at the Arnold, I was telling Kristen, trying to explain like where you were competing.
Yep.
Because Jared competed in like a room and everyone was sitting down, but you were competing in like basically a hallway.
Yeah.
And everyone's walking, and there's people competing next to you, dropping weights while you're trying to get one off the. How did you block out all those distractions? Obviously you've had years of experience doing that, but like that was I feel like very chaotic environment, especially with like another platform literally feet away from you. Like how did you get through that mentally?
Yeah, I didn't notice it at all. I'll be totally honest with you.
Yeah.
When you're in the zone and you're just focused on what's going on, you don't really know. You don't notice any of that stuff, right? Now, interestingly, the two, and I saw this on the video afterwards, the two referees on the other platform were two friends of mine.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, and it's fun because the angle that my coach and his helper took the video of me on the platform, you could see my two friends
in the front,
like cheering me on from their platform, which you're not supposed to do, which is what you were talking about. You wanted to just cheer for everybody, right?
Under the table clapping, trying to clap for everyone.
No, it was funny. No, you don't notice it all.
Yeah.
I mean, the only person that you really like know about is your coach. Like that's the person who's helping you. Like you'd listen to that. Like it's weird. Like the more you do it, you just tune out all the other stuff, and you just hear your coach.
That's how, because I know me and Maddie talk about it sometimes. She like cannot, when people are like cheering for her in practice and everything, has like a very difficult time tuning that out. And I have this exact opposite. Like when I'm doing like a motion, or like when I think about it the most when I was in track, and like people would be like screaming and like cheering for you and you're like running, and like I just don't hear a single thing. Like I could not, like my friends are like, "Did you hear me cheering for you?" Like no, I didn't hear anybody cheering for me. You just tune it all out and you just do what you're doing.
Yeah, like, and for me, I feel like I could tune it out. It's just like I still hear it, and it's just like stop, like don't talk to me right now. Like I'm trying to do it, like, and like I need to be like focused, and not just like you're annoying me.
Yeah.
Like it just irritates me. But that's like when Danny comes over too when I'm lifting. Like I always tell him like go over there, because like you're putting more stress on me standing right next to me. Like,
watch me from afar.
If you're over in the back and you're not paying attention, that's when I'm gonna like do the best. Like because then I'm like, oh, you weren't even looking.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's interesting. There's a theory about this with introverts and extroverts, right?
I wonder what I am.
I don't know.
So they say that if you're an introvert, an increase in stimulus, right? Better performance comes from outside. So if you have a number of people cheering you on, if you're an introvert, you will raise your performance.
That makes sense.
If you are an extrovert, you typically need less
silence,
outside inputs in order to do well.
You got enough going on in there.
Yeah, I'm saying everything to myself. You don't need to say it.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Maybe
Wait,
that's
so that
why.
means you're an introvert?
I feel like I'm an introvert. Yeah.
I don't think so.
I think
you're
that
more
I am?
extroverted than me. I'm just like I think I'm both. Like, I can
Yeah.
be both. I feel like when you're around different people, you have to switch it on and off.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
well, and I'm with, like, Jer, like, for instance, like, he's more quiet than me, so, like,
Yeah.
I'm, like, I have to talk for both of us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then when it's, like, by myself, I'm like, you could talk for both of us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be
Yeah.
the one doing it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see that for you. You're definitely over in the middle, but
So, Joel, what do you think that we have in the future? Do you think there could be a possible D1 team here coming for weightlifting?
Well, so
ooh.
weightlifting is not contested at the D1 level, not in the
Not
NCAA.
yet. So
Yeah.
you can't do it.
No.
Alright, that's
So
the
the
second.
pinnacle of national collegiate competition we've been to. So in that sense, like, yeah, I
We
mean,
could do it that
we
way.
could do it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only a handful of schools out there that I can think of that have it at the varsity level. And it's not unlike how we have here, I guess, rowing and acro and tumbling.
Yeah.
Those are varsity sports, but they're not NCAA.
Okay.
Right.
So if you're being very technical, we're not going to get to that point because it's not
Under
it's
that.
not NCAA.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It doesn't
There's this
exist.
couple schools. There's one in I can think of in St. Louis, Lindenwood. They give scholarships. They had 2 Olympians on their team back in the day
Wow, that's
when I had my team at Sacred Heart. That when we went to their nationals, it was like, okay, they were all, you're not going to beat 2 Olympians.
Yeah.
One
maybe.
of them's from Brazil, the other one is from Uzbekistan,
Yeah.
and they basically gave these 2 students scholarships to come over to them. So there's one there. There used to be one. I think it's still up in northern Michigan, in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. There's one in Lenore Rhine, and I met these students from that college. I think that's North Carolina or something like that. There's only a handful of them out there that
Yeah.
have it at the varsity level. We're kind of, as I've gathered, we're probably on the upper end of the kind of support that the university gives to the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking with the Northeastern folks
Oh, yes.
and the UVM people,
Yes, at
right?
the
And I have
competition.
connections in with those groups also. So, but I learned about them. They did not exist when I was in school in Boston, right? Those clubs, those are rather recent.
Yeah.
And they're like scrapping and clawing for any bit of space, any bit of money, any bit
Right.
of support. Whereas we're really fortunate that
Yeah.
it's
That we
built
have
in,
it.
that we
Yeah.
have all that. Yeah,
I've
yeah.
gotten more like gear and
Oh,
like
yeah, she was
perks
saying.
from club weightlifting than I did from my D1 track and field team here, which is like not anything on the track and field team, but it's just we have like I feel like
It's
that's
fine.
true. We're definitely up there. I
We're
feel
just
like,
better. It's okay.
Yeah,
You can
maybe.
say it.
I think maybe.
This isn't an
But-
Iona sponsored podcast. It's okay.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, no, I mean I still love that team, but yeah, like the way that the program is run and the way that like the way that the coaching is and the way that everything is allocated between the team is much different. I think it's a lot more fair on the weightlifting team here, and I think that you guys do a really great job for making us feel seen and
Yeah, I appreciate
for
that.
making us feel included in the school
Yes.
and everything like that.
Yeah, we want to get some more. So
Yeah,
bring
no,
a friend
definitely.
or the 3 and
Yeah,
train.
that's hopefully this.
I brought her.
Hopefully,
I know.
yeah. Maddie brought
I brought
me.
a friend.
Jared brought both of us technically, and Carla.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's get some more.
Yeah.
I've been hearing some interest about it. I was wearing the jackets that we got, and somebody looked at my jacket and said, "Oh, is that the weightlifting team?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "I'm on it."
You can get
and
one if you join.
they were thinking about joining. I think they were a freshman.
That would be good.
In one of my classes, but yeah. So there's definitely interest, and the more that like.
And I feel like more
Gets out
younger
about
people are
it.
getting like into the gym now. Like even your daughter, if you want to talk a little about that.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
hear about
How'd
this.
you get her to do
Yeah,
this with
so that's
you?
been a lot of fun, right? So
So how old is she first?
so my daughter's 13.
Okay.
And
And she's already doing so good from all the videos I've seen. She is like way better than me.
Aw.
For sure.
I joke about this, right? In a loving way, right? My wife, who I've been married to now we're going on 19 years this year. When we dated in college, she went to all of my meets.
Did she ever do anything with you? Like did she
No,
ever try?
no.
Okay.
I don't know if she's ever held a barbell in her life.
That's how I
She maybe she did once or twice, just move it because it was in the way.
Yeah, she doesn't want to show you up. It's okay.
Yeah.
But she's been to all my meets,
Yeah,
and you know,
she knows.
she's great. She's super supportive. When I qualified for Pan Am Masters in 2019, and it was in Orlando.
Oh wow.
So I said, this is like maybe a year beforehand. I said, hey, hun, like I'm looking at these new weight classes and the qualifying totals and, you know, where I would sit if I were to try to go for this.
Right.
And she's like, what do you think? It's like the thing is the first weekend of June in Orlando. And she's like, yeah, go for it. So I did. I trained. I got it. I got in. And when I did, she's like, perfect. So then she she planned a whole
Trip.
vacation.
Ugh.
And we stayed at the Polynesian and the whole bit, right? It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it was so much fun.
amazing.
And there was only half a day carved out with nothing on it except for the meet.
Right.
So they went to the parks, I went to the meet, and then they hustled over in an Uber to get, and it's completely on the other side of Orlando. It's
Yeah.
closer to Universal Studios. So, and my kids got there in time to watch me. Now they had seen meets and they'd known that I've been at this for
Yeah,
quite some
yeah,
time.
yeah,
But my little one had just turned, and she wasn't even 4 actually. And my older one was like 6 or 7, and that's the one who's been working out with me now.
The older
Claire.
one?
Yeah, the
Okay,
older one, the
gotcha.
13-year-old. So we're members at the Jewish Community Center in Stanford, and they just renovated the whole space. And the guy that is the fitness director over there, great guy. He's a former CrossFit guy, but is big into Olympic lifts and loves it and knows me and whatnot. And they did this, like, you know, probably $100,000 renovation on the space.
Wow.
Beautiful. All this Rogue equipment is fantastic. And my daughter really enjoys being at the JCC. Her friends are there. She does a summer camp. She's done the after-school program, all this other stuff. So it's a very familiar, comfortable place for her.
Yeah.
And I've said to my daughter, both of them, for a long, long time, as they're doing all the different sports that we can get them into and whatnot, I said, hey, listen, go have fun with
Right.
these
But
sports.
when you're done with this.
Whenever you're ready,
Yeah.
I am ready.
Yes, absolutely.
When you're ready to train.
When you're
Yeah.
ready to train, you know, and they see what I do, and I'm in the garage, and like my little one will do stuff with me in the garage.
Yeah.
Also, the last couple months have been cold or whatever, but
Yeah.
she'll knock out like pull-ups and dips and all sorts of
Ugh,
crazy stuff.
heck
And
yeah.
Iconic.
my older one, she wants to do a sport in high school.
Uh-huh.
And if you know anything about our area of Connecticut, if you aren't involved in sport from when you're like 6 or 7 years old, it's almost impossible to break in, right?
Wow.
COVID did not do us any favors.
Yeah.
She's like, she likes sports, but she's not like the most athletic person out there, especially compared to all these other kids who've been doing it since they're like 4 years old, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she knows that I know what's going on when it comes to weightlifting. So I said, whenever you're ready, you just let me know. I'll be ready to go with you.
Right.
So that's what we've been doing. So about 2 or 3 times a week, after I get back from work, after we've had dinner, we clean up and say, okay, Claire, you want to go to the gym? And she's like, yeah, let's go. So we go. And we get a good session in. It's about an
Nice.
hour or so. And they have all the equipment that I could possibly need
Yeah.
over there. And we've been doing a balance of weightlifting specific movements,
Yeah.
right? Squatting, overhead stuff,
Yeah.
pressing, you know, these pulls, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then we'll do a little conditioning circuit along the side. So it's like
That's
either
amazing.
you know, circuit work, if it's like a CrossFit kind of thing. But
Yeah.
it's really just stuff that I'm trying to teach her how to
Right.
understand how to use her body,
Yeah.
multi-joint exercises, you know,
Yeah.
like really mix it up and
Yeah.
whatnot. So
And can you tell like she's enjoying it more as she goes more? Or
without
is
a
it-
doubt, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And
amazing.
even just from when we started, you know, a couple of months ago, let's say,
Yeah.
and to now, just the improvement that she's been making and being aware of her
Yeah.
body.
Right.
And anyone who's told me, like, if you just get them to, and you guys know this even from at your age,
Yeah.
the more that you can demand of your body and that your body can conquer it,
Yeah.
the more confidence you get, not
Yeah.
just in
Yeah.
doing the lifting, but doing all this other
Yeah,
stuff, right?
absolutely.
So I'm super excited. And when my little one gets to be old enough that we could take her into the gym also,
Yeah.
then we'll do that. But we'll start, you know, when the weather warms up and we don't need the heaters in the garage.
Yeah.
No,
We'll-
right.
outside.
Yeah. Totally.
We'll do some stuff with her. So
Yeah,
That's so
that's so
exciting.
precious. I feel like it's so
And it's
good
good
to
bonding.
yeah, it's a good bonding. I feel like it's good to get like the earlier that like people learn how to start like using their body and how to like treat it correctly, I suppose, the better. There's like it's never too early to
Yeah.
Yeah.
start to
Yeah.
And
train.
it's never too late.
And it does.
It's
Yeah,
never
I
too-
agree.
it's
Yeah,
correct,
that's
yeah.
what you said about Connecticut about how it's hard to break into sports late. That is interesting to me. I feel like I did not have that experience. I never really thought about that. For me, it was very. I went to a small school in Pennsylvania. It was very. You can just like
Join
try
anything.
whenever. Yeah, like all the sports need people. Like you're always looking for people. And it's very like we were begging people to come onto the teams and. Like I feel like I came here too, and it was like not difficult for me to get onto the track team, and then also like in the weightlifting. Like I don't know, I never had that experience of like struggling to break into a sport, which I feel like is a very that's something that I've overlooked.
Yeah.
Like I never thought about that.
I guess I kind of get that too. I feel like if you, like for me, in my school, you could always like try out for a team or join late. But I feel like if you weren't already into the sport, like growing up, like you kind of weren't in the the group. You know what I mean? Like you weren't on the team.
Yep.
Yeah.
These other people could have been on a team together since they were like 2.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like 15 and they're like, hey, I want to join the soccer team. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we've been a team for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's also, I feel like that is also an aspect in it.
Yeah.
The individual and the team
interesting.
sport dynamic is place to place. It's very interesting,
Yeah.
very
Yes.
different, right?
Yeah.
When I played hockey, my folks were like, okay, team sports are fine. I played basketball before that too, but they were very much encouraging. They're like, are there any like individual sports
Yeah.
where you can focus on yourself
Yeah.
and the outcome is based on your effort, and you don't have to
Yeah.
play politics with getting playing time, all this other stuff. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know what those are, and
Yeah.
and then when I got to high school, it was
Yeah.
very evident that that was the sport for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's we've talked about that before too, about individual sports
Yeah.
and like team sports being so different. Like I remember like
And it just feels better when you do good, you were saying too.
Yeah.
Like you always feel like better after you do like a lift versus like if you were shooting a goal like on a team, someone passed it to you, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's more like your
yeah, it's
you're
way
doing it.
easier to be like, oh, well, like the whole team did that. It's like easier to like discount kind of how you contributed to a team.
Yep.
But when you're just doing something by yourself, you did that. You can't like yeah, your coach helped you out obviously, but like you just did the lift
That's all
yourself.
you.
Nobody else lifted that bar. You did. Like that's cool. I don't know.
What events did you do?
In track, I did the 100 meter, the 200 meter, and then the 100 hurdles.
Yep.
And that was it. Yeah, so I was a sprinter.
And she played soccer also.
Yeah, I played soccer. I played basketball for 2 years in middle school.
And then I was on swim in high school, which I absolutely hated.
yeah.
And I did cheer, and that was terrible, and I hated cheer.
Now we're here.
Because that was also another, like, club, like, group thing
Yeah.
when it was, like, all
Yeah.
these people have been together, and I was just
Yeah.
trying. I was
very
just like, I want to be
cliquey.
on a team.
Yeah.
Like, I wanna be in a
just
team.
Somebody include me.
Yeah, but, yeah. I like weightlifting better, and I think, like, even though, like, it's not, like, I don't want to compete it yet, like, it's just more, like, I think being in the gym and, like, working out a certain day, like, a few days a week and,
Yeah.
like, being around the same people, like, that are all supporting you is, like, such a good
Yeah.
environment.
It's also, it is not always all about competing either, I feel like, at
No.
all.
If it's done right,
Yeah.
a
It's a
college weightlifting program is a team of individual athletes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So everyone knows generally. You know what your teammate
Is
can
doing.
do or what their best lifts are.
Right.
So if you see a weight loaded on the bar, you're like, that's a heavy lift for that person. So we're gonna cheer them on, unless you're Maddie and you just
And then I'm like,
Cower.
shut up.
And then you might
be
be like,
quiet.
no,
Stop
nobody
talking.
look at me. Everybody turn around.
I have a question though, really quick. It's a stupid one.
Sure.
Do you ever get into any fights in hockey?
Ooh.
Because I would love
Interesting.
to see that.
No, when you're playing
Yeah.
pee-wee
Oh, I
bantam
thought you were like
hockey.
I thought you were like in your teens, like that would.
Well,
be,
I
like,
was.
prom-
I mean, yeah, I was.
Yeah,
I was
that's
a
like
teenager.
prime
right?
fighting
No, I
season,
mean,
though.
it was.
Yeah.
Hockey back in the 90s was trying to shake the
just get
the
the thing.
goon mentality
Yeah.
and that whole image of it, no. So there was really very few fights. If anything, you got into scuffles with your teammates in the locker room, but
Yeah.
that wasn't
Period.
me.
My
That
dad,
wasn't me.
my dad was from Minnesota. He played hockey his whole life. He's in an adult league now, and I don't think he's ever gotten into a fight.
Oh
My
God,
dad, that
that's
was
so-
like,
Yeah, but your dad's like so nice.
my dad is like
He'd be like, "It's okay."
the most teddy bear guy. But yeah, no, he,
He'd be like, it's fine. I'm sorry.
yeah, I'm sure he knows fair share of people who did, but
All right. Any final thoughts or notes or
I have any more
anything you want to say to anybody who's listening who might want to join a weightlifting team or start weightlifting on their own? Like anything you want to say to them?
Oh, just do it. Just do it, right? So I know because I lived it myself when I was starting to get into it. You don't think you have it or you don't know what you don't know. But when you get connected with a competent coach who takes an interest in what you're doing, someone like Coach Greco,
absolutely.
you're going to
Shout
be in
out.
good hands. Yeah. There's no doubt about it that, weightlifting in particular, there's something about the presence or the importance of the coach.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's so much that you don't know
Yeah.
about any sport, really. But
Yeah.
weightlifting is one of those things where there's a lot of preconceived notions and things that people think they know about weightlifting.
Yeah.
And then when you actually get down to it, they really don't know anything. So
Yeah.
to have a coach to just guide you and to really make you understand how to move the barbell first
Mhm.
before you even put weight on
Yeah.
goes a long, long way.
Exactly,
Right.
yeah.
So we can work with all kinds of athletes, and for us, it's not about necessarily getting lifters to nationals. It's about getting them to continuously improve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
And I've always said that about our program and any of the programs that I've had my hands with. We use weightlifting as a means for students or young people, or whoever, to really learn about themselves and to improve their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to improve your life, then there's a spot for you on the team.
Yes.
Right? We're not necessarily looking for, although it'd be great if we got lifters to nationals or
Yeah,
to
hey.
win meets.
If you're like
or
an Olympian, hey,
these
come
kinds
join
of
the team.
things.
But
we'll
don't need
take
to.
we can we can teach it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's really no body size
Yeah.
that's more ideal or less ideal. It's really if you have the desire,
yeah.
come on out and give it a shot.
Yeah. It's just, you need the willingness.
Yes. And even if you're not an athlete and have never been in a gym, you don't have to be like an athlete before.
I actually
Yeah,
would rather.
seriously.
I sometimes prefer the guys and gals who have not been in the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then
No, that's
they don't
very
have
true.
anything that you have to shake off of them.
Yeah.
Exactly,
There was a lot of
right?
stuff that I learned from my
That was
from
Track.
my lifting and track that Danny has corrected for me. And it's hard. It's difficult because you already have that stuff ingrained into you. It's hard to work it out. But then,
Yep.
yeah.
Or if the muscles have shortened, or you're just so inflexible.
Yeah.
But even then, I've worked out some of these imperfections and some of
Yeah.
the limitations with these athletes in the past. I mean,
Yeah.
You just have to know what you're doing. Danny's
Exactly.
got a good handle
Yeah.
on it.
There's always
so.
like a modification for anything.
Absolutely, yeah.
We can fix
It's
you.
very we can
We
fix
can fix you.
Ionical weightlifting, the motto. We can fix you. That's
Even if
hilarious.
you can't fix yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There you go.
Just yeah.
I think.
I think that wraps things up for today.
Thank you, Joel. You've been a
Yes,
great
thank you so much for
guest.
coming on.
Oh, anytime. This was a lot of fun.
It's been
You guys are doing great,
fantastic.
and keep up the great work. And thanks for your support for our team.
Thank you. That
Thank
has
you so
been-
much. And
this
this
has
has been.
Wait.
Wait for it.
Wait
Wait
for it.
for it. Okay, thank
Thank
you
you.
guys. Bye.